All right. Welcome to the Erie Ultra podcast. I'm Johnny Ramos.
And I'm Jeffrey McComb. We're going over destination motivation today. Johnny's invited a few sales managers and representatives with us today.
Yeah, I have these four selected in particularly because they really took the initiative to really get it out to their teams, and these sales reps that are actually on here did a very good job of implementing this out into the field and really just knocked it out of the park. I mean, when we're talking about net to gross to some of these, I mean, that's 75%. It's 70% on these sales reps that are actually using it. And I know Grand Rapids seen a really nice increase in their net to gross while they were using it. I mean, I'll start with Kevin Lang out of Grand Rapids, the sales manager. You know, from a leadership standpoint, what was your initial reaction to implementation of the destination motivation?
Our initial reaction to destination motivation was exactly what it's designed to do, is be a retention tool. You know, the buy-in, the way it's laid out has to have a good buy-in to it. And the way that we laid it out is more so such as a surprise, not so much it's included with every sale. It gives it the personalization when it's a surprise, not necessarily for everybody. And when people feel like they won something, it just helps with the retention on it. So the buy-in was extremely high throughout the office. And once customers, you see them respond to it in a positive manner, the buy-in just shot up from there. And not only that, when you start to see a positive outcome as far as retention, guys are making more money on their sales, that again aided in the buy-in as far as the destination motivation layout.
Yeah, I mean, I would say same question to Brad Ord out of Knoxville, their sales manager over there. So Brad, when implementing this, what was the initial reaction to the sales team?
They embraced it well. They liked the idea of being able to offer something at the end to kind of wrap up, warm down the sale, get them excited. And it was really just a matter of selling it to the reps. Honestly, we had to let them understand what it was going to offer for them and what the advantages were going to be to them. I made it 100% participation. I don't believe the entire time we had it as the test market for it that there was a single sale that was processed that did not have destination motivation on it. And that was just simply we went through the positives with it. We had obviously the increase in net business, things like that. We also had some learning curves, guys using it certain ways that weren't effective, and then trying to shape those ways to be more effective and help them wrap their business up better.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, what were those learning curves that you found early on? What was some of the struggles that you guys had?
I would say, and Fletcher can speak to this as well, I think maybe to begin with, some of the guys tried to start crutching on it a little bit, talk about it a little too much in the warm-up, things like that, that ultimately led to them getting bounced back of, oh, this sounds like a timeshare, or this sounds like this, or whatever, and they didn't really know how to handle that. Just like we trained the KPSS, and like we know when we hear this, that it's related to investment. When we hear this, it's related to company. There was also signs like that came up with destination motivation. Like if they were hearing the timeshare thing, well, then they probably didn't explain it well, or they started using it way too early.
It's all about, I was going to say, kind of that dropping that seed, Johnny, just like we all talk about in warm-ups throughout the demo, little tiny pieces of it to hint the customer, but you're kind of teasing it. And you have to know how to balance that. It's a gas brake type thing until you actually put it out there in the close. So.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, so Fletcher Crest out of Knoxville, you're the ASM there. Obviously, you had a lot of success in doing this and implementing this. And so, when you say, the pause and the break, how exactly are you personally introducing this during the demonstration? And then I'll bounce this over to Bronson too after that.
Yeah, absolutely. In the warm up, especially with retired couples, asking a question. Hey, You guys like to travel? What do you like to do now that you're retired? You guys got, an RV out there. Do you go around the country? What do you guys do? Stuff like that. Just trying to get them conversation mulling around like what they like to do after retirement, what their hobbies are, what they like with travel, leaving it alone. And the company barely touching on destination motivation when you go over our partnerships, right? Barely. Just saying, yeah, we have a recent partnership with Destination Motivation. They help people book travel. We help people with roofing. Move, right? You don't want to stay too much on it. You don't want to, you kind of want them to think like, what's that mean? And then you get to the very end of the close and you can strategically implement it depending on the customer, right? I mean, I kind of tailor it to the customer. If it was a high credit customer, they kind of feel timeshares vibe sometimes. You got to be careful. You kind of bring attention to it at the beginning and then you take it off, or you can use it in a discount as something almost like a merch item, like gutters, like how we merchandise gutters.
Yeah.
You can use it to your advantage to draw interest and then add it that little extra chip on the table that the customer's like, wow. And you're literally like, it's no gimmicks, guys. This is literally a vacation for you guys to go on for your retirement, so it's just another tool in your tool belt in your back pocket, like any other card we can play in the close to put you in a point of advantage.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more of that value add, just to really just kind of, it's not a, hey, we're not discounting because of this. This is just, by the way, you get this as well. And
and it's also good for warm downs too in netting business. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And Bronson, I mean, is that any different on how you were using it out in the field? I mean, how were you introducing it? Were you talking about it, during the entire demo? Because Bronson Shulu is out of Grand Rapids, and you had, out of 42 deals sold, you netted 32 of those. So that's a 70% net to gross on that. What are some of your tips in implementing this?
Yeah, and thank you guys for having me on. It's a real honor to be on here. Honestly, I don't want to take any credit. It was great training from my teammates and my superiors like Kevin Lang. But with that being said, I would agree with a lot of what he just said. I will say in the end, I started tweaking a little bit, in the sense of tweaking it up. And I realized that the element of surprise, I'm ex-military, it worked in the military, and I think it worked here. Element of surprise, I'm not going to mention it until literally romanticizing. With that being said, it all starts with trust and people buying in on you and the company in the very beginning. So step 1, step 4 are super, super important because first off, you need them to buy you and you need them to buy the company, and they have to buy in. You have to hook them up there. So then when the element of surprise with the destination motivation and romanticizing, they're trusting me. And my last line at them, I'm like, and guys, I get very excited. I have a surprise for you. You've won something. Yeah. And it's the element of surprise and winning right there, right then. They've already bought in on the product, already bought in on the company. Now this is just that hook, and I'm bringing it home. And seemed to work really, really well. Again, it does not work if you do not know anything about it or if you're not enthusiastic about it. So again, they're going to bounce back with the timeshare. If you don't know how to handle it, does not work. If you are not enthusiastic, as if they just truly won something, it's not going to work. So I would say the element of surprise, opening it up, and the end of romanticizing is when it seemed to work the best for me.
And can you guys give me a little bit of example about what do you mean about the element of surprise? So like, when are you surprising this? You say romanticizing, and that could be, to me, it's in a couple different spots in the demo. Where is that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going in for price and financing, and I'm, what does this price include? I'm going through, I'm really romanticizing the job cleanup, what we're going to be doing. I'm breaking down the tear off, the ice and snow guard, where it's going to be. I'm painting the picture in their head of everything in this price, no hidden fees. And I'm all done. So magnets, whole 9 yards, clean up all the nails. And all right, guys. All right. I got a surprise for you right now. I don't want to turn you off. Okay. I know I'm a salesman. I know. And I've only been able to give this out 3 times. And one guy actually kind of got a little upset about it. So, hey, if you're that one guy, I'll put it right back in my bag. All right. But go buy a lottery ticket. You won. All right. And I pull it out right then. So I leave my vacation voucher in the car the whole entire day until I go in with the price.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a new one that we've heard right there. I really like you bringing it up there. Now, are you talking about any types of vacations before? Like, are you talking in like warming up? Are you doing like what Fletcher was doing, talking about RVs and stuff like that?
Absolutely, and I think he's right on. So yeah, step wanting, I'm kind of slightly profiling, seeing is there an RV in the driveway? Do I see those pictures on the walls? Absolutely. If the door opens to bring it up, bring it up. Absolutely. Hook them right there. If you don't see it though, if I can tell that these people are not vacationers, we all know those certain little hints, so to speak. Then no, I'm going to keep it as the element of surprise, and that's when I saw it working the most. To be honest with you.
And I keep hearing, and I think this is really important for buy-in, but I'm gonna bring back a little bit this timeshare idea where it comes up almost as an objection to destination motivation. What were some of the ways that you guys handled that, or how did you explain that?
So the way that we explained it, and there's a few ways that Grand Rapids has laid this out, as far as the element of surprise, romanticizing, exactly what Bronson said. Everything that we do around destination motivation is complete surprise. Whether that be we're reading through the specification sheet and all of a sudden, we're drawn back
You won. Yeah.
from the point that they just won something in the specification sheet that's randomly generated.
Yeah.
If the timeshare idea, if they don't want to go on vacation, or anything like that comes up, and then we just leave it completely optional. Listen, guys, you won this. If you don't want to use it, it's completely transferable. You can give it to somebody else, or the fact that, listen, you won it, you don't have to use it. So there's really no ties to it. I wouldn't necessarily call it an objection. We've never
Yeah.
lost a deal, nor have we ever lost traction in our sales because of it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to know,
I second
especially like I
that.
said, for that buy-in piece. I did the surprise thing as well. I think that worked really, really
Yeah.
well. Obviously, that's for more netting, but yeah, I really like that.
Now, Brad, have you seen anything when it comes to a boost in morale when we launched this originally for you guys in the pilot location? Was there a boost in morale at all?
Oh, I would agree. 100% there was a boost in the morale. I believe we spoke about this throughout the process when we launched it. The I can't speak to the customer necessarily, but as far as the reps were concerned, I think they all liked the idea of having that as a warm down tool, being able to show that to the customer and create value in that. Now, I will say part of the previous conversation when we were talking about the timeshare thing, I don't believe that's going to be an issue in every market that uses this. Knoxville, we had to prepare ourselves for those conversations more so because of Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
Right.
There's major timeshare companies, Crossville for golf. There's these big companies that surround us that all work in timeshare. So
Yeah.
our customers are kind of or are the people who live in this geography here are kind of preconditioned for timeshare like conversations. So we created a lot of things throughout ours to kind of keep that from happening.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, what advice would you give another sales manager when they roll this out to their team next week?
I have one piece of advice. Just create a situation where every rep understands that you need 100% participation. I believe that's the only way. Now, the reality is maybe something happens or there's an error. I did have a couple situations where reps had to go back out, take care of something. But ultimately, at the end, everything was 100% participation. And just like we expect every rep to use the KPSS, expect them to use destination motivation, and you will have success.
Bronson, what
Yeah.
about a recent deal, that you can think of where you think really destination motivation really helped them really buy into it?
Oh, I got one right off the top of my head. You guys are gonna love this one. So, I was in the army. After the army, I've had the track history, you guys. I was a lawyer, and now I'm a roofer. Right. With that being said, the other day I was in Sparta, Michigan, and it was a widowed lady. Her name was Pat. She was great. Loved her. Very good. The objection in the very, very end, was that she had to talk to her lawyer, who was also her best friend.
Mm.
And so I said, hey, why don't you call up the lawyer right now? And she's like, okay, I'll do that. And I'm like, perfect. I'm like, hey, it's your best friend though, too, right? Where's she from? Da 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 da. When I found out that the best friend liked the vacationing, I
Mm.
made sure to tell her lawyer best friend to go on vacation with her because it's a +1. And that was a done deal right there on
Wow.
speakerphone with the lawyer friend.
That's awesome.
That's good.
So I've seen numerous times where women, the wives, do not want to be involved at all. They could care less about it. As soon as you mention the vacation, they're all in. I want that roof. So I have gotten numerous sales and support from wives from that vacation package. Husbands, well, every once in a while, but it's the wives that you hook and make done deals, in my opinion. So there's numerous that I can think of.
What about you, Fletcher? Like, what's one like line that that really that you use every single time to help introduce this that consistency like that consistently works for you?
I'll say, have you guys ever heard of Expedia before? And they'll say, yeah, I've heard of Expedia. And I say, you know how Expedia kind of helps you book travel? And you can go, they're a third party that helps you book travel, and you go do whatever you have to do to fly where you need to go and do what you have to do. And they say, yeah. And then I kind of start my transition into destination motivation and explain, well, I have something to go over with you. And then I'll go into destination motivation, describe who they are as a company, how they operate. I also kind of describe how they're winning too. I say, look, like, they're hoping that you give them good reviews. They're hoping that you book through them again so that they can get more business. But this is your opportunity to enjoy yourself and take advantage of an opportunity that most people don't ever get. Literally a vacation. You can take your family, and also introducing it as a staycation. If you can tell they don't like to travel, kind of like Bronson was saying, where if they're like, yeah, I don't care about travel in the warm up, or you can tell there's no travel signs, the staycation can work. Whenever they have kids that are out of town, you listen really carefully. They say, yeah, my kids come and visit me once a year, a couple times a year, and bring my grandkids, whatever. At the end, you can always say, how would you like your family to come visit you, and you can treat them, So
That's great.
that's another strategy to introduce to think about. It's all about the warm up. Just like we listen to buyer signs and look at all these clues, the strategy comes with reading between the lines of the customer, and putting it in where it really feels like it would matter the most. It is a little bit feel. You have to kind of feel it out as you get to the lead.
Yeah, I mean, in talking about just feeling it out, I mean, Kevin, is there any structured type of role play that you guys are doing during training to try and prepare your reps for the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So our role play consists of when we're going through the specification sheet, we keep talking about the surprise, the role play of how the rep's going to act once they see the actual destination motivation pop up there in the specification sheet. But not only that, the step 10 tie downs as far as warm downs, asking the customer where they're going to go, asking them if they've had any vacations planned that they've been putting off. And starting to really draw the picture of what that vacation is going to look like, who they're going to take, who they're going to transfer it to. So it's another tool that we train on in our step 10 conversations to make that deal stick even harder.
Great. Yeah. And then, Bronson and Fletcher, you guys can go each on this question, but I'm a new rep, fresh out of basic. How are you going to train me in the car to start using this?
Go ahead, Bronson.
All right, thank you. So I would tell you right out of the gate, you're either all in or you're all out. You're either going to give 100%, you're giving 0, because it's a buy-in, it's an acting job. So if you're not excited as they would be winning a vacation, because it's an element of surprise, you have to be surprised too. You just won; it was random. It's not going to work. So if you're not all in, you're willing to do the paperwork right there, right then, and you're willing to talk through it with excitement, then don't even pull it out of your bag.
Yeah.
So that would be my opinion. Get excited, smile, figure out how to smile if you can't.
And then Fletcher?
Yeah, in the car, or even in trainings in general, I would definitely talk about how to pay attention to the warm-ups and how to implement it, and just say, hey, I want you to pay really close attention to if these people look like the kind of people that are travel, and have conversations and spur conversations regarding it, as well as using it strategically in the close, and I like that element of surprise. We weren't actually doing that specifically, and I really like that you guys have mentioned that, but also just using it strategically in the close. Like I said, if you're at a lost sale close, coming in there and showing them that they just won a vacation and a lost sale close, I mean, that's also big, and we have done that. We have used it as like a, well, hey, you guys just won this right now. Like, we talk to our manager, and we don't give too many of these out, and by doing this promotion, here you go. So kind of training the reps on how to implement it there as well in the car, and kind of how to act that out after they go out and do their calls and then come back in to deliver that third drop.
And this really speaks to that feel that you were talking about. You really got to feel the customer out. So there really isn't necessarily a one size fits all. It's kind of all situational when it comes to this.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's how it's been for us, and that's how it's been successful. And I can tell, if you can tell kind of like in the pre-close or throughout the demo, we all know this, when you're about to go through an absolute battle, you know it's going to be a battle. You're going to be fighting tooth and nail, negotiating, getting down to the nitty gritties. I'm saving that for the warm down, because I know that that's going to help me net, because I'm thinking, how am I going to net this guy, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking going into a close is like, if I sell this, I've got to warm down just as hard as I close, and I have to use something extra in my tool belt to net, and that is critical in netting business sometimes. I've used it. I feel like I don't know exactly what my numbers were on the net side of that, but I really do think that the destination motivation helped me net.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were right in that 70% range too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I would say for Kevin and Brad, I mean, what is one thing, that you would give some more advice on for the sales managers before we wrap this up?
Have fun with it. Don't necessarily, yes, make it a mandatory thing, but explain the benefits, right? There's no downfalls to destination motivation. The customer gets to enjoy something. They're not just focused on a roof. Have fun with it. You know what I mean? It should be a fun tool to use, something to get the customers excited, something to get the reps excited to talk about with them. Don't just pound down on it and be a, drill sergeant if they don't use it. Explain the benefits. At the end of the day, it can only help you make more money.
My advice would be, first of all, train it. Second, track it. And then third, retrain it. Because of being a launch office, we went through those calls, Johnny, and when we were going through them, I was learning. So all these guys out there, this is something brand new. They're learning too. So train it first so they have a basic understanding of it. Then sit and listen to what they have to say about what they're doing, how it's working for them. Retrain it. It'll work. It helps net business. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining this podcast this morning. I appreciate it so very, very much. Coming to an office near you, Destination Motivation. Guys, it's been a great one. Go out there and kill it.
Thank you guys so much.